So in today's video we're going to go over a Marvel Rivals Ultimate Ability tier list. Now Ultimate abilities are obviously really important in any game that has them, but this game and Overwatch was the same and Apex Legends also the same. Any Ultimate ability, if you kind of chain them together with other ones, it makes it like so you just have the advantage, and that is pretty much what you aim for all game, is to get your ultimates right and earn your ultimate as fast as you can. Your ultimates are your best abilities most of the time, but most of the legends in this game do have pretty cool abilities to go over. Some of them are very bad compared to some of the higher tier ones, but today I'm going to go over all 33 heroes and their ultimates and tell you which one's best and which one is the worst. Now, just because I'm putting some of these lower down does not 100% mean that they are horrendous. Some people can be like a one trick on someone that doesn't have a very good ultimate, but they know exactly how to use it. I have played this game for about 40 hours. I've used most of the legends a little bit, not legends, heroes a little bit, but I've mostly used like a couple, like Hawkeye for example is one that I've used the most. So if I'm wrong about a couple of these, let me know in the comments and we will discuss it why. I'm not saying this is going to be perfect, but I'm saying it will be quite accurate. So here we have the base of our tier list. All 33 heroes, tier S to C. I'm not going to put a DNF in because I don't feel like any deserve to be that well. Maybe a couple do, but I'm going to stop at C and we'll go through these one by one. I'll explain a bit, just talk about it a little bit, and we'll see where we go. Once again, let me know your opinions in the comments and your favorite ultimate in the game. So starting off, we're going to go with Hulk, and I'm going to put him in A tier. Now, I think Hulk as an actual hero is going to be an S tier because he is very, very good in the right hands. But I don't think his ultimate is what makes him really, really good. I think his whole kit is really good. His ultimate is obviously Monster Hulk, and he turns massive. He gets like 1500 health, and he can smash people on the floor. As you can see in the gameplay in the background, he can do a lot of damage, and more importantly, take a lot of damage. And he's absolutely massive. But I don't think it quite deserves to be an S tier because I don't think it's a huge like game changer. I just think it's a very, very good ult. So this one sits in A tier. Okay, next one I'm going to sort out quickly because I think it's the worst ultimate in the game, right? I think the Squirrel Girl literally has the worst ultimate in the game by far. Has this thing ever killed you? This is what I always think about, right? How annoying is an ult against you? How scared are you of the ult? Squirrel Girl's ult is literally terrible. It does like 125 damage if it hits you, and all you've got to do is move sideways, and it's not that big of a radius. Compared to the other ults, it is by far the worst ult in the game. Okay, next up is someone that I have used a lot, and I am almost at the Lord level of this, or the proficiency on the game, so I've played like 20 hours of Hawkeye, and that's what I'm going to go with next. Now, a lot of people will rate Hawkeye really, really highly, right? But I will not put his ultimate in S tier. His ultimate is not the good thing about him. He also has like a little delay on it when you first put it in, so you can't really be like reactive with it. Honestly, sometimes I don't even want to use his ult. I'd rather just shoot myself, because although it does give you like more people to shoot at, and like you can pick people off, I actually like it for just dealing a bit of damage really quickly, like when it's really busy. But in terms of like sitting back and just like sniping as a Hawkeye normally should, I don't even like using his ult much, and that's how I look at it. So it's going to be A tier for me. It is not a bad ult, but I just don't like it that much, so I think it's more of a me issue than the game. So I'm going to put Hawkeye in A there. I'm just going with people that I'm already kind of set on, that I haven't got a debate in my head too much. Now I think it's time to add our first S tier ultimate in the game. So Jeff the Landshark. Now, Jeff as a healer is not S tier in any way, but his ultimate is. There is not many abilities on this game that can take a whole team out or multiple people out pretty consistently. Jeff's ultimate is amazing, it is great fun, and it is annoying to be killed by. So this one could be kind of controversial, right? Scarlet Witch, I was almost going to put in C, but I will put her in B because she is better than Squirrel Girl ultimate-wise. Now, Scarlet Witch's ultimate takes ages to come in. As soon as you hear the actual ult cue, which is this, you can just look up and kill her. Now, I know that in lower ranked kind of games, there is a less of a thing because less people use headsets, less people know the ult cues, but the higher you get ranked-wise, the worse that she gets. Honestly, as soon as you get to like Plat Diamond, as soon as people hear her, she does not get any kills because you can kill her so easily. Me playing Hawkeye, I will ding her out of the sky as soon as I hear any kind of cue. So that's just me. I'm going to put her in B tier. Next up, and I don't want to debate about this one, this is the S tier and easily the most annoying ult in the game. Maybe not the best ult, we'll leave that for a little bit later, but I would give this probably a second or third best ult in the game, and that is going to be Winter Soldier or Bucky. Now, you've all heard, again, constantly, and I'm fed up with it. He needs to be nerfed. Okay, he doesn't need to be nerfed, his ult needs to be nerfed. You cannot be using that thing like 6 times if you get a lot of kills of it. it is just way too good at the moment in my opinion. He's also very hard to kill because of how fast he goes up in the air and moves down. I know that a lot of people say you gotta just kill him when you hear it, but it's too good. I don't care what people say. That thing is too good. Next up, we're going to have one of my favorite Marvel characters, and it's going to be Rocket, but I'm going to put him in B tier. Now, I just think that his ultimate is not the thing that he is really good at. I think him having a tiny ass hitbox and a bit of movement as a strategist or healer, I just think that is kind of where his perks are at. And obviously his team up with Punisher is amazing as well. But I don't think his ultimate, it grants you a more damage boost when you're shooting, like in the radius of it. But it can be destroyed really easily, and it's just not that good of an ult, but overall, he's a pretty good character. Now, next up is another S tier 1 because he can use any ultimate in the game. Now, that is going to be Loki. Now, if you don't know, Loki's ultimate is actually becoming another hero that's in your game at that point. You can just kind of look at them and copy them, and then you turn into them, and you have the ultimate you can use. So, you can literally use any ultimate you want within your game and like to whatever your needs are at that point. And honestly, Loki is very fun to play because he has his ability where he can disappear as well. Honestly, I recommend giving Loki a go. He is quite a high skilled strategist healer, I'd say, but his ultimate ability does make for really fun plays. So next up, we're going to go with Widow. Now, Widow's someone I've not actually used in this game much, and you don't really see her much at all. I think most people, if you're going to play Widow, you just use Hawkeye, right? He's just better at you doing that, and he can one-shot. So, you don't see Widow much, but I am going to put her down in C tier with Squirrel Girl. I do think her ultimate is better than Squirrel Girl's, but it's the same as Scarlet Witch, but a bit worse in my opinion. Like, it does about the same damage, but she has to stand still for longer, and honestly, I just don't like her all that much. It just takes too long to charge up, so she's down there. Next up, another S tier 1. I'm going to go Star-Lord. Now, if you hear that ult cue, which is this, you basically need to either run away or your support or healers need to ult if you have like a Luna or a Mantis that makes you invulnerable for like 10 seconds. Because his ultimate is incredibly good. It can take out 2, 3, 4 people very easily and quickly. Honestly, one of the best ults in the game, if not the best ult in the game, because you don't have to do anything. It's a very low skilled ult to use as well. Very high up on this list. Next up, I actually find this one quite hard, and it's going to be Penny. Now, I don't think that Penny's ultimate is amazing. I think that Penny's ultimate is actually a B tier ultimate. I think that she's good at like being on the point for like 10 seconds, but I don't think there's any like kills really come from it. It's more of you avoid the other team being on it for 10 seconds. So I don't think her ultimate is the best thing about her. I love her whole kit, the whole way that it heals you if you're on the web. Her whole kit is actually really good, and she's one of the only tanks that can actually shoot, which I do enjoy. I prefer tanks that shoot than melee, so I actually enjoy playing Penny, but I don't think her ultimate is incredibly good. Right, next up I'm going to do two together, because I think they're kind of similar. Although they don't play the same because they're different types of characters, I think the ultimates are kind of similar here, right? So Namor I'm going to put in B tier, because I don't think that his whole throwing his big ass well, if I think is a well, is that good. I don't think it's that powerful. You can kind of hear it come in, and honestly, I've not been killed by it too much. That's what I'm trying to think about here. I've played against a lot of Namors, and I don't think his ult is amazing. The next one, which is a bit of a skill issue on my part, I think, is Black Panther's ult. Now, Black Panther is very strong in this game, but his ultimate isn't. But I feel like if you were at a really high level with him, then it would be very strong. So I'm going to put him in B because of me not being at the highest level of this game yet. But he could easily be A. I don't think he could be S, but I think he could be A if you're like good with him. So I will put him like up here somewhere, and also Namor will be up here somewhere as well. They'd be like the higher level of B tier. Next up, I'm going to go with Moon Knight. Now, I absolutely hate playing against Moon Knight, but his ult is pretty good. Now, I just feel like Moon Knight's a low-ass skilled character because of his like whole Ankh thing. You can throw it and you just shoot it. It's like a tether. I hate it. I hate being killed by it as well. But his ultimate is pretty good. It just drops like down from the sky. I feel like it's a lot stronger than like the Namor ult, which is kind of similar deals, but Moon Knight is pretty much a guaranteed kill, I'd say, if someone's within it. Well, Namor sometimes isn't. So Moon Knight for me does go into A tier here with his ult. So I think it's time for another S tier one, and we're going to go with a strategist or healer, which is going to be Luna Snow. Luna Snow's ult is probably the best ult in the game. It makes your whole team that is close to you or on the point, for example, completely, you just can't die. You're invulnerable for around 10 to 12 seconds, I think her ult lasts, which is crazy. If you hear a Luna Snow ult, you pretty much have to counter it with a Luna Snow ult because of that's how good the ult is, which means that easily it should be like the best ult in the game, so I will move it right up the top. Next up, I'm going to go for B tier again. I'm going to put Cap in there. Now, I haven't played much Cap, to be honest, and you don't see him in a lot of games because he's one of the lower tier tanks, but his ultimate is basically the same kind of thing as Rocket for me. Like, it gives you a little damage boost and it gives you more health, but it's not that helpful. It just makes it so you live a little bit longer. I don't think him as, like, it doesn't really help killing people. It's more of a stay alive thing. So for me, Cap's ultimate is just not that great. Overall, he is not great, to be honest. I don't think he is anywhere near the top of this tier list in terms of tanks. So I think his ultimate is also down here. Next up, I'm going to go with Iron Man. I think Iron Man actually deserves A tier on this. Now, I know that earlier I said that when people are kind of still, when they're doing their ult, it's a bit crap, like Scarlet Witch, for example, and Widow's also quite slow. But in terms of Iron Man, if you can play him well, you can really be miles away. So you can you can be behind, and you can normally get the surprise on people before they can shoot you, because it is a little bit quicker than, say, Scarlet Witch as well. Along with that, you can do this from miles away, and the explosion is very, very strong. And I think Iron Man overall is pretty good on this game. Next one I'm going to go with is Venom. Now, it's actually quite a tough one for me. One, because I've not played much Venom at all, but I've played against him a lot, and I don't feel like his ultimate is ever that devastating for a team. I don't think his strengths come with his ultimate. I think they come with him being able to do a lot of like jumping in and out. Movement is very good. I don't think his ultimate is that strong. So his ultimate's actually going to sit next to Cap. I probably think it's better than Cap's, because you can actually do a bit of damage with it and stuff, but I think that Venom-wise, his ult is not great. I think his ult kit's quite good. I also think he's receiving a buff in the next few weeks, so we'll see what comes of that. Next up, probably the best DPS in the game, who also has hit scan abilities, is going to be Hela. Her ult is where you fly up in the air, you get like 1,000 damage on the ult, that you can shoot her down, but it takes a lot to shoot down, and you can basically just throw 2 balls at squishies and you kill people really, really easily. It is very, very easy to use, and that's what makes it so S tier for me. There's not really much skill involved, you just fly up in the air and shoot downwards, and you have a fair bit of health to actually work with there. You can easily kill 2 to 4 people, clear a whole like point, so for me she has to be S tier. I think if you compare Thor to the other tanks, I think he sits closer to the Venom and Cap ult than he does with the Hulk and the other ones down here. So I'm going to put him just down here. I believe he's got a better ult than these two, as in Cap and Venom, but he'd probably be like up here somewhere. And most tanks shouldn't have like amazing ults, because it's just how they go, but I don't think that he's on the level of Hulk's ult, and I just think he's okay. So he sits down at B tier for me. The next one I'm going to go with is Adam Warlock. Now, I think Adam Warlock's actually not seen that much in the play that I'm at the moment. I'm currently Diamond, and I currently haven't seen many Adam Warlocks that are amazing, but I have seen competitive play. Competitive play has Adam Warlock in a lot of teams, and it's because he can revive people mainly, but honestly, I think the ability to revive multiple people on a team at once can really win you games. So I think a revive ability really should be in S tier at any point, so I'm going to put him in S tier, and if you haven't seen any gameplay of Adam Warlock, like competitive high level, I recommend watching some, because he is very, very underrated in the kind of lower ELO. I think a lot of people do prefer playing Mantis and Luna, but Adam does have a space there because he can revive people. And speaking of S tier healers and their ultimates, we're going to go with Mantis. Mantis has to be in this S tier because she has a great ult. It's very similar to Luna Snow's, but obviously she can be invincible for a bit. It is counterable. It's a bit more counterable than Luna's is, but it is still really, really up there with one of the best ults in the game. And honestly, I would probably put hers up here somewhere rather than being like down here, because it is a very, very strong ult. Next up, we're going to go with Magneto. Magneto has a very good ult, but it's one of them ones that's just not as good as other ults in the game, and it's once again because he is a tank. Tanks can't really have that high level of ultimates just because they are already tanks. They're already quite strong characters. So Magneto goes into A tier for his ultimate. It's quite similar to Iron Man's is the way that I look at it, but if you shoot at Magneto while he's charging it, it actually gets stronger. The longer he holds it for in his hand, the stronger it is. It is a very good ult for just like picking a few people off and doing high damage, but it just doesn't belong in S tier for me. So the final 2 tanks that we haven't actually ranked yet are going to be Doctor Strange and Groot, which are probably the 2 best tanks in terms of overall. Like, I think that these 2 are probably my favorite too, to be honest. I do like Hulk, but playing-wise, these 2 are my favorite. I will put these 2. It was a really tough one because I don't want to put too many people in S tier, but these are between A and S somewhere. I'm going to put both of them in like really high A tier for me, but they could easily both be in like lower S tier, because honestly the ults are kind of similar, right? They both kind of stun everyone anyone in a close radius. I know Groot kind of grabs people together more, and Strange's is more of like a stun and you stand still for a second, but they both stun people for a few seconds, basically. They're both the same level ults, and I honestly think they're both really strong, and they could maybe be in like low S tier, but I'm going to go with A. I don't want to smash, like, I don't want to have a really high S tier here. I already have quite a few in there, but these two are probably the best 2 tanks in the game for me, and probably have the best 2 ults within tanks. So next up is going to be Psylocke, and she is going to go in S tier. One of the last S tiers I'm going to go for. I don't want to make this list too long once again. Psylocke's ult has to be here though. She can take out 3-4 people really easily, and she pretty much can't be killed. Like, she's moving about so much. There's many clips out there that I've seen of her ult taking out pretty much whole teams. You can actually 1v1 a tank with this ult. So it is very strong, and honestly one of the best ults in the game. It has to be an S tier. Right, so next up we're going to go Spider-Man. Now, I really like Spider-Man's ult, but I think that the movement that he has actually helps him out a lot of this, because he can position himself perfectly, really fast. Can't really be killed easily at all. So, he can literally land on anyone he wants, you can swing in, and he can use his ult. His ult's kind of like Reaper's from Overwatch, where it's like the close range one. As you can see there, it kills a lot of people quickly, does a lot of damage, and honestly, it is a really good ult. It is always useful. It will definitely be on like the higher tier of the A list up here somewhere. So, it is a good ult, I just wouldn't quite put it in that S tier level. Next up, we're going to go with Wolverine. Wolverine's actually an interesting one, because at the start, I thought he was just horrendous, and he's not ever seen in like lower level ELO kind of ranked games and stuff. But he is quite fun to play. And then if you actually go like to the really high level, and sometimes even competitive that I've seen, Wolverine is there. But his ult still isn't great. His ult is alright, it does help with kind of diving in and out, and it helps get his rage meter up, so he is better. But I feel like his whole kit kind of just is quite good if you're good at him, if you know how to go in and out of fights well, and obviously killing tanks is very important. For diving on someone, it is very good, but I don't think that the ult's like substantially better than a lot of the other ults in this game. So for me, he's going to sit a B tier. Next up, we're going to go with Punisher. Now, Punisher's ult's actually a really good one. I am going to put in A tier because it does rely on a healer a lot. I feel like because he has like very little movement, he just has to walk very slow while he's using it. You need someone healing him at the same time, but his damage output is incredible if they have a healer behind him. He still sits in A tier for me if he doesn't have a healer, but if you have a healer right behind you and you're kind of common with him or something, he would probably be an S tier for me because that ult is incredibly strong. Right, we're getting towards the end of this now. So next two we're going to go over are both melee characters. Well, mostly, Magik is mostly a melee character. But we have these two here, Iron Fist and Magik. I'm going to put both of these in B tier. Now, I have thought about this quite a bit, right? And I thought about who I've played against the most and things like this. And as I've mainly played Hawkeye, if I come up against someone that's more like a close range kind of brawler type character like these two are, I do struggle against them, but that's because I'm playing Hawkeye, I think. So for me, I'd put them higher up. I'm trying to think of more of a broad tier list. I don't think I see their ults do get multi-kills very often. I don't see a lot of Iron Fists. I do see a few Magics, and I know she's pretty good, but I've not seen her ult do a lot of damage. You could maybe put Magik up into A tier, but I'm going to leave them both in B tier because I don't think either of them are completely game-changing ults, as some of them in the A and S tier are 100% game-changing. Right, so next up is going to be Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger for me is going to be an A. Now, I'm not going to go in S because I don't think the ultimate is incredible. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but what it can do is keep your team alive for that extra little bit that you need to push a point or keep a checkpoint or keep a domination point for. If you actually go forward and back 3 times in the same direction, you can actually heal over like 600 heals per second, which is crazy. Damage-wise, it's pretty bad, but healing, it is very good. That is why it's going to be in the A tier. So we managed to get to the end of the tier list. If you got to this point in the video, thank you for watching. And what do you think of my tier list so far? Let me know in the comments. But finally, Storm. Storm is actually one of the least played DPS people, I'd say, and probably one of the worst ones in terms of right now she needs a buff. She is very much below the power curve. But the one thing that's not, I don't think, is actually her ultimate. Her ultimate is actually good. So I'm going to put her ultimate in A tier. Now, I think that Storm's ultimate is actually a very game-changing ultimate because if you pair it with something like a Strange or a Groot ult, you can wipe a whole team. And it doesn't have like you can't really get killed while you're using it unless it's a very, maybe a Jeff can. But it is very hard to kill a Storm while using it. But honestly, I think it is an A tier one, which might be controversial, and that is why I left it to this point in the video. So there we go, that is all 33 heroes that we have right now, ultimates ranked into a tier list. Right. I have one thing I want to change about this, because as I went through this, I realised I might have got this wrong at the start. Hawkeye, I honestly think that Hawkeye should be down in B tier now. I've had a thought about this, and I don't like his ultimate. I've used him a lot, and I just don't like it. I think everyone else here has good ultimates, and I just don't think Hawkeye's ultimate is good in any way. I don't even like it that much, and I actually just don't want it to be an A tier anymore. So I decided to change my mind at the end of the video. So this is the final tier list that I'm going for. Let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you disagree with. Don't get angry at me if I've got your main down the bottom. I'm not saying they're horrendous. I'm saying their ultimate is not great. I'm sure that you can play pretty well with them at a decent level. Right now, I am a high diamond player, not quite at that level of playing higher, but I also have not played this game, soloed the whole thing. So above average, I'd say, but not to the point of like a top 500 type player. So this is what my tier list player looks like at that level. Let me know in the comments what you think once again. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you feel like doing, and peace out for now.